watching the Warmup presented by your local North Texas GEICO agents. It's time to get warmed up for week 10 of Texas high school football. Two games left, and there are still a bunch of playoff spots to be had. One of those coveted playoff spots could go to Fort Worth Northside. The Steers haven't made the playoffs since 1979, but could punch their ticket with a Saturday morning win over Fort Worth Polytech. Let's take a look at some more big games on the docket this week. The most anticipated game of the season in 6-5A Division II happens in Lancaster as the Tigers host Highland Park for what should be the district title. Lancaster exploded on Mansfield Timberview last week in the second half as they scored 3 touchdowns in the half to win 33-10. The Tigers use a solid defense and speedy athletes like Trey Bradford and DQ James to get on top of opponents. Meanwhile, since losing to Lone Star, the Scots have outscored their opponents 339-12 in the last 5 games. This one should be a must-see Friday night, with the winner the district champ. Coppell is taking on Flower Mound in a crucial 6-6A game. The loser of this game will likely be eliminated from the playoffs. The Jags have lost 2 district games in a row and now are on the brink of missing the postseason after winning the district last year. Meanwhile, Coppell has already lost 3 district games and a 4th would eliminate them for sure. Look for Blake Short and the Jaguars to pull off the home victory. One of the most interesting matchups is South Grand Prairie against DeSoto. Sure, both teams have just about clinched playoff spots, but this one is for postseason positioning. They are calling this game the Avoid Duncanville game. The loser of this one will face the state's #1 team, Duncanville, in the first round of the playoffs, a fate neither one desires. The winner will most likely face Skyline, which is a less daunting task. Look for the Eagles to come out on top at home. We'll also be visiting the TAP's #1 ranked team, Nolan Catholic, as they take on Fort Worth All Saints. And how about the Richland Rebels? They started the season 1-5, but with wins over San Angelo Central and Haltom, the Rebels are now tied for first. All they need is a win over Weatherford Friday to clinch a spot. Let's take a look at some players who should be in the running for an MVP bobblehead this week. Speaking of Weatherford, how about Ruse quarterback Ken Seals? The Vanderbilt pledge has been an excellent complement to the running back Desmond Forrest by throwing for over 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns on the year. Seals should have a nice game against Richland. Denton Ryan's Drew Sanders is looking to have a great game on both sides of the field against Grapevine. The Raiders have been coasting through district play, but look for the do-everything Sanders to show why he signed with Alabama to play his college football. And Birdville's Stone Earl has thrown 28 touchdown passes to just 3 picks. With the Hawks still tied for first, they'll need a big performance out of Earl against Colleyville Heritage, and he usually shows out under the brightest of lights. With DeSoto getting upset by the Summit Jags this past Thursday, let's see how things have shaken up in our rankings. The #1 6A team is still Duncanville, as they shut out WT White to clinch a playoff spot last week. South Lake Carroll got over 200 yards out of Owen Allen to knock off Keller Central last week. They are still at 2. The Eagles of Allen are at 3 as they take on Prosper Friday to clinch the district title. The new #4 is Denton Geyer as Cadrick Cobb scored 5 touchdowns in their win at Eaton. And cracking the top 5 is Rockwall. Ohio State commit Jackson Smith-Njigba has 1,100 receiving yards and 19 touchdowns through 8 games. The Jackets host Mesquite this Friday. In 5A, Lone Star looks like they'll keep the #1 spot throughout the regular season. They demolished Centennial 62-10 last week. Still at 2 is Denton Ryan. Grapevine could give them a game, but expect the Raiders to win that one. Our 3rd and 4th ranked teams battle each other this week. That's right, 3rd ranked Highland Park and 4th ranked Lancaster fight it out, with Scott's head coach Randy Allen hoping to win his 400th career game. Coming in at 5 is Aledo. After a 67-point victory over Waco University last week, the Bearcats will face Joshua this Friday. We're not done yet. We are ready to kick our extra point. Jerry Jones went out to Thomas Jefferson's homecoming and gave Dallas ISD $1 million over the weekend. A Highland Park coach deserves to be recognized, and no, it's not Randy Allen. It's head volleyball coach Michael Dearman, who collected his 700th career win. The matches for this year's Thanksgiving Hoops Fest were announced this week, and we'll see a homecoming of a former Arlington Bowie star. Cade Cunningham, who grew up in the Arlington area but transferred to Montverde Academy in Florida, will be playing on both Friday and Saturday at the Hoop Fest. Friday, November 29th, the number 2 ranked senior in the nation will be facing Duncanville at 9 p.m. And then the next night, his team will play Houston Yates at 9 p.m. Check ThanksgivingHoopFest.com for the complete schedule. That's all we have for this week's episode. To stay up to date with all things inside high school sports, follow our social accounts. We have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. That'll get you ready for the highlight of the sports weekend. Wingstop Inside High School Sports, Saturday at 6:30 p.m. on NBC5, hosted by Pat Tony. Thank you for watching the Warm-Up presented by your local GEICO agents. To find the office nearest you, go to geico.com/DFW. I'm Ashley Bullington, and I hope you've gotten warmed up for week 10 of Texas high school football.